Out there, the modern world often confronts the trials of the harvest with deafening clamor and clouds of artificial mist. Rushed mechanized plows sweep across colossal monoculture fields, struggling to sustain yield through synthetic means. Yet if you step into an Amish homestead while the morning mist still lovingly embraces the oak-timbered roofs, you are greeted by an entirely different symphony. There is no roar of engines, no pungent sting of industrial compounds. There is only the soft, unhurried footstep of a steward of the land walking along the heirloom tomato vines, carrying a small misting bottle and a warm, familiar fragrance radiating from the hearth. That humble bottle holds no expensive miracles. It is a distillation of Mother Earth's most rustic ingredients, costing less than $1. It is a recipe passed down through generations, a quiet art of defense that shields tender green shoots from the onslaught of pests without wounding the sacred harmony of nature. Today, let us step back, set aside the habit of reaching for instant, store-bought solutions, and understand how the gardeners of old protected their lifeblood using only the language of scent. There is a quiet truth unfolding beneath the canopy that our hurried eyes often miss. The garden is forever a space of sharing, where tiny lives like aphids, spider mites, or caterpillars are constantly seeking sustenance to survive. With a miraculous capacity to multiply, an aphid colony can explode in mere days, softly draining the vital sap from tender young shoots. Faced with this rhythm of survival, the reflex of industrial society is to forge ever more potent extermination sprays. At first, these solutions seem to deliver a spotless, clean garden. But nature possesses a boundless power of adaptation. The most resilient individuals always survive, and within just a few life cycles, they pass that adaptive genetic code to the next generation. In this way, we inadvertently forge increasingly invincible, uninvited guests. Tragically, those harsh chemical interventions often cannot distinguish between the benevolent lives within the garden. They drive away the diligent honeybees lost in pollination and wash away the tireless ladybugs, the natural temple guards of the garden. To the Amish community who practiced the philosophy of Gelassenheit, a graceful yielding and stepping back before the divine will, shattering that balance is a deep wound upon Mother Earth. They believe that rather than attempting to conquer and control all things, mankind need only establish peaceful boundaries. And that boundary miraculously rests right upon the shelves of their cozy farm kitchens. The soul of this protective art stems from the humble garlic Allium sativum. Throughout the long stretch of human history, from the builders of the ancient Egyptian pyramids to medieval healers, garlic has always been revered as a protective shield for human health. But it was not until 1944 that American chemist Chester J. Cavalito first decoded the scientific miracle hidden within it. When a clove of garlic rests whole and untouched, it is profoundly still. Yet, the very moment its papery skin is shattered by the blade of a knife, an enzyme named allanase instantly merges with the compound allan, birthing a highly volatile sulfur-based molecule known as allicin. Allicin is nature's most exquisite cloak of invisibility. The olfactory senses of foraging insects are incredibly sharp. They navigate towards succulent, water-laden young leaves through the plant's signature scent. When allicin wafts into the air, it creates an overwhelming mist of fragrance, completely scrambling their navigational signals. The heirloom tomato leaf or the bed of cabbage quite literally becomes invisible within the sensory perception of the aphids. The plant still stands there, but its presence has been safely and softly concealed. To weave this cloak even stronger, nature provides a flawless companion, the chili pepper, capsicum. Those brilliantly crimson peppers harbor a molecule named capsaicin. Humanity finds a comforting warmth in its fiery spice. But to the sensory systems of leaf-eating insects, capsaicin is a polite yet fiercely uncompromising refusal. It interacts with their sensory receptors, forging a natural barrier that renders the leaf entirely unappetizing. The union of garlic and chili is not meant to destroy. It is simply a two-layered defensive system. The garlic hides the presence of the plant, and the chili draws a safe boundary, gently advising the uninvited guests to depart and seek their nourishment elsewhere. Dear friend, as we allow our souls to drift together into the delicate grace of nature and reflect upon how Mother Earth bestows tools of protection right within our kitchens, perhaps you too are feeling a gentle, purifying stillness in your mind. Learning to reclaim autonomy, leaning on pristine ingredients to protect your garden rather than depending on industrial products, is a journey back to true freedom and peace. If you are yearning to build a self-sufficient living space to nurture a pure homestead for your family, then we are walking the same quiet path. Please take a peaceful moment to gently press the like button and subscribe to the channel. Your rustic shared comments about your love for flora are the warmest fire giving me the energy to continue wandering and unearthing ecological legacies buried by time, returning the heirloom seeds of understanding safely back into your hands. The brewing of this protective elixir brings a sense of stillness akin to a morning meditation. Prepare roughly 25 cloves of fresh garlic and 5 to 10 deeply pungent red chili peppers. Prioritize the ripest crimson chilies, for they hold the most abundant reserves of capsaicin. Leave the seeds intact, slip on a pair of gloves, and carefully mince the rustic mixture to shatter every cell wall, fully releasing the pure essence within. Place this earthy blend into a clear glass mason jar. Now pour in 1 quart of water, but not just any water. In the tradition of natural stewards, rainwater gathered from the eaves or pure distilled water is always preferred. The heavy minerals and purifying agents in municipal tap water can sometimes inadvertently bind with organic compounds, dulling the purity of the elixir. Seal the glass jar tightly, tuck it away in a cool, dark corner of the pantry, and yield to patience for 24 to 48 hours. In that soothing darkness, the water will slowly awaken and embrace the most precious drops of essential oil. When the steeping time has passed, use a piece of soft, white muslin cloth to strain the liquid, wringing it gently so as not to waste a single drop of the essence. Pour the elixir into a fine misting bottle, and at this moment, an indispensable binding element must be introduced: 1 teaspoon of mild, natural liquid soap, completely free of harsh detergents. The soap is not a random addition. It acts as a biological emulsifier. Garlic and chili oils naturally repel water floating adrift on the surface. The soap coaxes them into embracing one another into a unified, harmonious whole. More importantly, the soap breaks the surface tension of the water. Without it, the solution would bead up into tiny spheres and slip right off the smooth, waxy epidermis of the leaves. With the soap, the elixir will spread softly, clinging like a warm mist, incubating every crevice that needs protection. If you wish to fortify this armor with an extra layer of grace, you can blend in 2 teaspoons of pure, cold-pressed neem oil. Neem oil, extracted from the seeds of the neem tree, contains the compound azadirachtin. By the late 1990s, environmental protection agencies officially recognized the magnificent safety of neem oil in organic farming. It does not repel with harsh violence. Rather, it acts as a biological signal, gently interrupting the molting cycle of insects, preventing them from overpopulating without leaving behind a single trace of toxicity upon the earth. Yet the true art lies not merely in the recipe, but in the rhythm of time. Natural essential oils are incredibly fragile before the blazing heat of the sun. If you carry your misting bottle into the garden at high noon when the sun sits at its zenith, those glistening drops of oil will act as magnifying lenses, merging with the heat to scorch the tender, fragile leaves. Therefore, abide by these deeply caring rules. First, move in rhythm with the soft light. Mist only when the dawn is just beginning to break or when the dusk starts to fall. Those hours offer absolute gentleness, causing no stress to the plant. Second, aim for the hidden sanctuaries. 70% of aphids, whiteflies, and spider mites seek peace on the undersides of the leaves. Use your hand to softly lift the canopy and spray the mist upward onto the underbelly. That is where the true boundary must be drawn. Third, patience is the master key. This rustic method does not bind eternally like artificial compounds. It will slowly fade with the wind and dew and wash away after a heavy summer downpour. Patiently repeat the ritual every 4 to 5 days, ensuring the shield remains beautifully seamless. Of course, a profound understanding of nature always walks hand in hand with the graceful acceptance of limits. This fragrant mist was born to interact with tiny, soft-bodied creatures. Against insects bearing hardened, armored shells like beetles or creatures secreting a wet mucous membrane like slugs, this essence will slip away smoothly without leaving much of an impact. Acknowledging this limit is the very boundary between a gardener frantically chasing perfection and a steward of the land who knows how to listen to the voice of all living things. And the most tranquil reward for this patience is that life is preserved in its pristine entirety. When you mist the garlic and chili elixir in the gathering dusk by the next morning, the uninvited guests will have silently departed to find a more fitting home. But above all, your garden remains the sacred sanctuary of ecology. The honeybees will still safely visit the blooming blossoms. The crimson ladybugs will still unhurriedly patrol the leafy branches. Nature, through the gentlest of languages, has been restored to its inherent balance. Brewing a protective elixir with your own hands for less than $1 is not merely the art of frugality. It is a quiet declaration of true autonomy. It proves that you need not follow the well-worn paths of dependency. You can still shelter your fragile green shoots using the very most primal, rustic gifts that Mother Earth has generously bestowed upon us since the dawn of time.